and welcome to this series of podcasts by Haydock, where we'll be sharing expert views and insights into the world of asset finance. I'm Siân Lloyd, and I'm very excited today to be joined by John Hercman and Andrea O'Brien, senior members of the team at Haydock. Hello both.
Hi.
Great to be talking to you both today, and I think a fabulous place to start would just be to hear a bit about your roles at Haydock, really. Andrea, do you want to go first?
Yep, certainly. So I'm head of broker at Haydock Finance. So I'm responsible for the new business introductions that come via our approved broker network.
And John, what about you?
I'm Haydock's head of agriculture and specialist sectors, and my role is really supporting the network of broker managers that Andrea looks after and their associated brokers to help with more complex and more structured transactions that they might wish to present to Haydock.
Well, that leads us very nicely on to what we're going to be talking about today, which is those large, complex cases. Give us an overview, John. What have you been seeing in this area?
So probably in the last 6 to 12 months, what we've seen is an emerging trend of an increased volume of deals that are typically larger than £500,000, but what we're also seeing alongside that is an increased complexity within that deal. So historically, it might have been quite a vanilla deal comprising of 2 or 3 assets. Now it's likely to comprise more assets that are more complex to ultimately underwrite as a funder.
And we're going to be diving more into that later. But Andrea, at this stage, what's been the approach of Haydock then? How has it evolved?
We believe we need to provide a collaborative approach, right from introduction of the proposal right through to the payout. It ensures timely decisioning and ensures that we can pay them out speedily.
Well, let's dig into looking at what's driving this demand in a bit more detail now. And John, is it the UK current economic climate that's been changing the nature of deals?
Yeah, predominantly I'd say yes. So what we've seen is obviously periods of high inflation. Businesses have struggled financially, and combining it with high interest rates, what we've seen as a lender is a reduced demand for typical replacement of assets and more demand for raising cash and trying to consolidate existing debt to try and reduce monthly commitments that the business has to pay out.
So something that now you're seeing very much in the business more is refinance as opposed to new asset acquisition.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing a lot of refinance requests where the objective might be initially a lump of cash to put out the business, often in a short period of time. But even beyond that, they're looking to try and manage the monthly commitments that they have so that they can try and protect their cash position going forward.
And Andrea, how important is the broker relationship then in generating these deals?
The brokers are key, really. The key to identifying these opportunities. They're the closest people to the customer. They understand the customer's requirements, whether it is a refinance that John's mentioned or whether it's just looking to fund something that can't be traditionally funded on hire purchase. And also because they are a broker, they do have access to a number of lenders. So they may need to syndicate a deal across a number of lenders if it's particularly large and not one funder has got appetite for it.
Well, it's great to understand the context there and what's been happening. John, how is Haydock meeting the demand?
So over the last 6 months, to try and meet the increasing demand for these large deals, what Haydock's done is put in place increased members of teams within the teams that are handling these large deals. We've cherry-picked the most experienced members of staff who are best placed to deal with the complexity that these deals bring. And in addition to that, what we've also been doing is focusing on our smaller flow deals, which are quite simple in nature, and we've been undertaking automation and streamlining processes really to free up the time to facilitate the larger deals.
And Andrea, I could see you nodding there, and you were talking about collaboration earlier in the podcast. It would be great to hear at this stage a little bit more about Haydock's internal collaboration and how important that is, especially in these fast-paced deals.
Yes, it is. We believe that right from, the initial proposal comes in right through the right experience level of credit underwriters. The credit underwriters then work very closely with the asset management team, and we have to be agile and we have to be commercial and flexible. And we ensure that when we are setting conditions on these transactions, that the customer actually is able to meet them. The new business team will also produce all the documentation for the brokers. And what that enables us to do is to start doing some of the payout checks at that point, which ensures that the deals then will go through payout quite quickly.
And in terms of that transparency and trust that I know that you've worked very hard over the years at Haydock to have and built up with the broker network, just how key is that here?
It's twofold, really. First of all, the brokers are trusting us with the most largest complex transaction. They're ensuring, and it's often from one of their biggest or longest standing relationships that they have with their customers. And obviously the service delivery ultimately becomes a reflection on them as much as it is on us. So we've got to make sure that we're obviously delivering within the timescales that have been set. And also secondly, when they are giving us these large transactions, they've got to be confident that we're not going to contact the customers direct. We obviously are very, very reliant upon our broker introductions. And whilst we do carry out a face-to-face customer meeting on any transaction that's greater than 750,000, what this often leads to is us being able to provide a non-committed appetite expression for any future acquisitions that the customer may have.
So relationships so important here.
Absolutely.
And in terms of new initiatives, has Haydock been busy creating new initiatives as well?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the initiatives that we've had earlier this year was the rollout of a large deal event. So we had 2 events, one in Manchester in the north and one in London in the south. The objective of the event was really to demonstrate Haydock's place in the marketplace, and really to just get discussion going between Haydock and our broker network around the opportunities that they're seeing and how Haydock are well placed to service those needs. So one of the real positive things that have come on the back of it is really an open dialogue and open discussion with our broker network and really trying to come up with the best solutions available for customers out there.
And what was the response?
Really strong in the room itself, lots of open dialogue, so we could really see the engagement from the broker network, and on the back of it, it's kind of grown, and we've seen a number of large deals come to fruition now on the back of the event. So we're really pleased.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah, what's not to like? We're helping them encourage larger transactions, and we're going to be leading them through them. So yeah, it was received very, very positively.
And is there a recent example to bring this all to life that you can share with us?
Yeah, certainly. So not long ago, we had a scenario where we were approached by a broker to support a Scottish-based taxi business. The business had around 68 or 70 vehicles, and they were funded predominantly on fast amortising hire purchase debt, but the business had also taken out quite a lot of unsecured debt that had quite a hefty monthly repayment on it. The Haydock team very quickly got under the skin of the deal to understand the viability of the transaction, and to support with that, what we actually did was went out to visit the customer and gain really the buy-in to feel that it was a deal that Haydock wanted to do, and it needed a solution from Haydock that was a high loan to value against the asset base that we were financing. On the back of the customer meeting, we successfully advanced the funding, and the outcome of that was basically that Haydock managed to release £1 million to the client and consolidated a large portion of debt, and we managed to do it before the next round of direct debits were due, which the customer felt they might not have otherwise been able to meet. So
what did that actually look like to the customer?
So from the customer's perspective, consolidating the agreements resulted in a monthly payment of 33,000, and prior to the transaction that was closer to 90. So we were saving the customer around £60,000 a month on their cash flow. So really showing the positive impact you can have. Yes, exactly. Well, that was a really positive result, and I think demonstrates exactly the difference that Haydock can make. Our time on this podcast is sadly coming to a close now, but Andrea and John, I'd like you both really to leave our listeners this time with perhaps a key thought from what we've been talking about today. So I'll come to you first, Andrea.
I think obviously listening to the example that John's just mentioned, we do need to have a high degree of transparency to deal with these complex transactions. And we believe the collaborative approach is the way forward. We have invested in staff, we've invested in upskilling people, and we need to be able to deliver what our brokers require.
Thank you, John.
I think I would just say that conversation and discussion is the key takeaway, and I'd really just encourage our broker network to speak with us, pick up the phone to the broker manager or to myself, and just get the discussion started.
I'm sure they will be, and good luck with your next big deal. It's been fascinating talking to you today. That's it for this podcast, but we hope that you can join us for our next one very soon.